Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we are going to be looking at Cloud Datastore, which is one of the several storage options that you have up in Google Cloud for managing your data. This one in particular is no SQL, meaning it is not relational. Probably targeted things that would be looking to store data in something like a JSON packet or something where it's not necessarily required to have an enforced schema. That would be up to you on the application end. Some more technologies would be something like MongoDB or CouchDB if you're looking for something to liken it to outside of the Google ecosystem. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to be following a Codelab here where we're building a Spring application, and I am not a Spring expert by any means. I like experiencing new technologies though, so we will give this one a shot. And I'll have the link to the Codelab in the description. It really shouldn't be that much of a stretch. With all these Codelabs, they're set up fairly easy to learn new technologies. So again, as always with these first couple pages are boilerplate, get you up and running types of documents. Nothing too exciting. This one though has a bunch of broken images, which I find interesting. Could be just that time of the day for me here where it doesn't want to render images on page 2, but nothing too crazy that we need to worry about here at this point in class anyway. So first things first, let's go to Datastore. Oops, data store, please. There we go. All right, so in this project, I have never used Datastore, so we are good to go. It looks like they have switched the interface a little bit on me. It's been a hot moment since I've played around in Datastore, but we can go ahead and use it as is. We do not want native mode according to the Codelab, and it looks like we are not in native mode here. So good to go. All right, just had a moment to catch up on the different interfaces here because this is a little bit different than what I'm used to with Datastore. But we can basically skip this step since we are just going to use its default setup. Like we don't have to worry about native mode versus Datastore mode. We are already in Datastore mode. So let's go ahead and skip this step. Now we have to go into Cloud Shell and get some starter code. So this is going to be our Spring application. And we have some specific flags for this application to get it up and running. And we're going to pipe it through to tar to unzip it. So let's go ahead and let that run. So now we have a folder called Datastore example. If I look inside that folder, I'm going to see some Maven related information. Again, this is a Spring, so like it'd be a Java application basically. And we have everything that we should need for that type of a project. Now, in our pom.xml file, I'm going to do this in Vim, as always. Pom. Oh, I didn't go to the folder. Data, store example. Vim, pom. Colors, desert. Skip down to our dependencies. We need to add this GCP starter dependency. So let's go ahead and add this in. And I believe we need this app shell starter as well. I just want to make sure that it is not in here. Oh, it's already in there. I have the Spring Cloud Data Store, Spring Boot. Okay. So for some reason, I was thinking this line wasn't in here, but we do want this starter. So we want to add that in right after our Google Cloud call. Starter data. Okay, that is different. Yeah, all right, good. I'm not going insane, I promise. Some of you may think of that at this point. Okay, we are going to add in these lines of code here, and we have a couple of new dependencies, and we can just kind of align them nicely just for sanity's sake. And we have our starter data store and our Spring Shell starter. Those are now in there. That should be good. Save our pom.xml and resize so we can actually read everything. Okay, so we now have that. Now we have to actually create a Java class, which sounds like fun for somebody who is not a Java person. So in Datastore example, we have to go deep into this folder. And what we're going to go ahead and do is edit src main Java, mouse out of the way, example, demo, book. Make sure it's not there. Good. Book.java. All right. And this is all kind of boilerplate code that we'll be using for this particular application. Again, if you are following along, this is related to basically managing books. So we have some book-related entities, book title, book author, book year, create the entity. It's basically what we're going to be storing. So copy and paste. Still thankful that Vim is pasting nicely in the terminal because that's not always the case. All right, so I will leave the detailed description of what this Java code is actually doing to the Codelab, because for me it's less important because it could be any application, right? This could be a Python app, it could be a Go or a Ruby app. As long as we can store data in the appropriate format, we are happy. So we are basically getting it set up for that. All right, next up, we need a book repository. So this is in source main. I should probably have just navigated into here. Demo, book repository.java. And here, we're going to create an interface to interact with our books. Good enough. Copy and paste. Again, more Java-specific types of information that we have here. And then we need our actual application, our actual main. This is going to be source main Java, example demo application.java. Now we have to modify it. Silly me. What we're going to do is just dump all of this in because as long as our main is still here, just need to triple check that. Good. I'm just going to go ahead and remove everything and replace it because this is going to have all of the hooks that we need to actually run this particular application. All right, and we're getting actually close to the end in record time. What we want to do now is we are in the root, which is where we should be. We're going to go ahead and run Maven, Spring Boot, run. We should get a nice little interface like this after Maven does its job. All right, so that probably took about maybe a minute to 2 minutes to actually build and get set up. We have now been dumped to this nice little shell. As we see here, we've got a nice little help interface we could run for commands that the Spring application is going to help us with. And we'll just run a couple of them. So let's do find -all -books. Nothing. Okay. Save book. Let's save a book to our cloud data store. So the parameters we're looking for are title, author, and year. You know, I didn't have a book handy for this. Been wanting to reread The Stand. When was this written? 78. Good enough for me. Save book. The Stand. Stephen King. 1978. All right, so we now have a book that has been created. And let's run find all books again. And there's my book. It's got to be, actually, I probably put the wrong one. It's got to be the unabridged edition. The director's cut, or the edited version, is a little bit thinner. Anyway, we have a book inserted into our database. Now, what we can do is let's pop over here to our Cloud Console and click the wrong button. Our dashboard. Hello. Okay. Native mode? What are you doing? Okay. Okay, so this is quite interesting. Um, now that we're back, I inserted this book in Cloud Shell. I see it inserted into my data store, at least it seems to be in my application anyway. Cannot see it in Datastore over here. I am in Entities. I don't see Query by Kind. There is nothing here. Over here, on the left, I clicked a direct link to Datastore, and it exists here. I don't know what's going on with this particular window. It hasn't updated. It doesn't want to update. That's fine. We'll just let it ride like that. Our books exist. Um, Basically, we now have a data store with a book entry, which is quite fine for what I need here, right? We have effectively a NoSQL database that we can interact with really with any type of application as long as we know how to insert data, how to manage it. And again, everything that we did was Java specific, but you could modify this pretty easily to be a Python app for a Ruby app, a Go application, even a .NET application, whatever your preference is, really. We could get this to run. And if you do need the details for how to actually, insert stuff in here, I would highly recommend actually going through the Java code that I very quickly inserted. Basically, the key takeaways here is that we have imported the um, Cloud Data Store libraries for Java. We have basically told Java how to save information to Cloud Data Store, but we're basically using these third-party libraries to do that. Anyway, if we want to get rid of stuff, we are in this Spring Boot application here. To clean up, just tells us to remove all books, which is a hook that we have programmed. And if I go ahead and remove all books, they should go away. If I go ahead and find all books, I see nothing. If I look in here and I refresh, I see nothing. And here it's just going to kind of keep being non-refreshed. Even after we click refresh, nothing happens. But quick little demo on Cloud Data Store. Again, if you want to dig into it in another language, nothing wrong with that. But until next time, good luck with Cloud Data Store. Bye, everybody.